Welcome back to Celebrate Sanmar. Over the next hour, we're going to be showcasing the fantastic services that Sanmar has to offer, including treatment and foster care, working with foster children in loving homes, the Jackie Barr Center for Wellbeing, Mental Health Services, and Bester Community of Hope, focused on prevention, meeting the needs of families, schools, and neighborhoods in the south end of Hagerstown. Let's learn more about the history of Sanmar.
The history of Sanmar is filled with unconditional care and stories of success of the children and families that have entered our programs. Sanmar started in 1883 in downtown Hagerstown on the corner of South Locust Street and South Potomac Street. The history of Sanmar was for 44 years at that orphanage site, which served critical community needs for the orphans at that time. In 1927, there were concerns about the community conditions in downtown Hagerstown and the needs that were present for children. So a campus was identified in Boonesboro, Maryland, and the children of the orphanage moved to Boonesboro to what is now today Sanmar, and was for many years known as Sanmar Children's Home. For the next 60 years, from 1927 till about 1985, the children of Sanmar were served in a group living environment. But in the mid-'80s, a strategic decision was made to start to think about how we could meet critical needs across the state of Maryland, that there were unmet needs for a population of children in foster care, teenage girls. So from 1985 all the way up until about 2016, Sanmar was really known well for serving the needs of adolescent girls who had experienced abuse, neglect, and various forms of trauma in our residential settings, as well as in treatment foster care. And that reputation carried us over that 135-year period to be known as a provider of excellence for residential services for teenage girls. In 2013, Sanmar started to make some strategic decisions based on the needs of kids and families. We were exploring the needs of the children in our residential and foster care programs, and we had concerns about long-term success and making sure that kids were positioned to do well long after they were in our programs. As we started to explore that, we started to learn about other best practices across the United States that had proved to be able to work with kids and families earlier in their communities and be able to never have to enter their children into a residential type of program. So Sanmar made some bold decisions, and we decided over the next 3 years, from 2013 to 2016, to slowly begin the process of closing all of our residential programs, even though those were recognized across the country as a program of excellence. We decided the more that we could do to serve children earlier, that it was our moral responsibility to do so. So in 2016, we first opened our outpatient mental health clinic, the Jackie Barr Center for Wellbeing. Then we began the operation of our Bester Community of Hope program, which serves a particular neighborhood in the south end of the city of Hagerstown with comprehensive services in education, health, and family services, as well as neighborhood organizing. And finally, we decided we were going to continue to provide foster care services for Maryland, but we were going to be very intentional about how we serve children in the context of a family and partnering with birth parents and communities of origin to make a difference in the lives of that child, not just while they were with us, but long after they moved on. At the heart of Sanmar's approach to working with families is the concept of unconditional care, which includes 5 basic concepts. The first, whatever it takes. We approach the work with kids and families as if these were our own kids. What would we do? We would do whatever it takes to help our own children, and we want to approach kids in foster care or the kids in our local communities that we're working with the exact same way. Relationships matter. We believe that the relationship has the power to transform lives in a way that a positive, healthy, and nurturing relationship can bring about a strategic impact to the life of a child, to a family, or to a community. We want to be better together because this is extremely hard work. And the work that we're trying to accomplish in the lives of children and families can be very difficult at times, and we cannot do it alone. It requires community partners, it requires neighborhood residents, it requires all people on the same page to help a child. Having fun's priority. We have to be able to smile and enjoy ourselves during this difficult work. And Sanmar puts a lot of energy into making sure not only our employees, but the families and children we serve are having a great time. And finally, everyone has strengths. If we focus our beliefs around the idea that there is inherent strengths that exist in every person, and it's our job to find those, elevate them, and lift them up, we believe that we can help position kids and families for success. Sanmar's mission today is to cultivate hope and well-being for children, families, and communities. And our vision for the future is that children are safe and nurtured, Families are strong and resilient, and communities are connected and thriving. We hope that you'll join us on this journey today as we explore the opportunities that exist in SanMar's program and ask yourself, what can I do? What can I do to be a part of this amazing organization?
Treatment foster care actually started in January of 1992. I was a case manager for the girls in the residential program, and we had girls living at SanMar who didn't need to be in a group home. They would have done great in a foster home, in a family. So our thought was, if we can become a child placement agency, we can find families for the girls in the program and match them. And I always loved connecting kids with families who they felt good about being around. So I asked to be moved into the position of beginning to help develop the program. And now it's been 30 years. And we have worked with kids of all ages, kids from all over the state. And I've seen them flourish. I've seen them struggle. I've seen families struggle. But in the end, kids maintain their connection with those families even after they age out. And that ultimately is the success story, that they feel that these families are support families to them when they leave. I used to have a foster mom call me every morning at 7:30 in the morning just to vent, just to let me know what it feels like to have that child in her home. And that's what it takes, because these kids' lives don't end at 5 o'clock, and certainly not at 5 o'clock on Friday. They need to know that someone's there supporting them, because it's hard to be in somebody else's home. God prepared me because my husband and I couldn't have children, and we thought, adoption is the way to go. So we actually adopted a 2.5-month infant in 1979 from Washington County. She taught me more than I ever wanted to learn as she went through her adolescence and late teen years. So she was my trainer. My husband only wanted 2 children. I wanted about a dozen. And I think God gave me SanMar, and it was even a better fit because I could work with the kids, but I didn't have to cook for them and I didn't have to clean. So that was perfect. After we were at SanMar, we became foster parents with Washington County DSS and took a girl in from SanMar into our home. It didn't last a long time, but she took us on as her parents, and a year later we stood in as mom and dad when she got married. And so that, again, was a good learning experience, so that I know what it feels like to have another child in your home that's not your own, and know that it's going to be wonderful, and it's going to be the worst nightmare of your life. But if you don't give up, it pays off.
I was 14, and I didn't want to come to see anyone. I was like, it's Washington County, it's so far away. No, I wanted to stay close to home, and that was something I always wanted. So I had an interview with one of the foster parents, and it went well. I couldn't say anything else. And she was like, do you want to come over to my house? And I said, no. I kind of had my mind of, I don't want to be here. It's so long of a drive. All I see is trees and nothing else. And that was a very different environment for me. I refused to get in the car, and I sat on a bench. I remember 2 trees in front of me, and I was like, I'm not moving from here. Eventually, my social worker at that time went in and talked to the staff and said, does anybody can talk some sense into this girl? Please come out and help me. So one of the staff came out, and she had a conversation with me. She was like, this is not a forever thing. This is more of a temporary thing, and we're going to figure it out. Like, they're there to help you. So I was like, fine, I'll get in. So I ended up getting in the car and didn't say a word at all. But I wouldn't get out the car when I hit the placement where I was staying. And my foster mom comes out and she just starts talking to me, making me feel welcome. So eventually I ended up stepping out and I was like, this is not going to be forever. Well, it ended up turning out for a while. I'm still there. I'm still being a part of the family. So when I first had an interview with a case manager, she said, you tell me everything you want in a parent and you tell me everything you don't want. And I was like, this feels weird because that's not something that is asked. And I was like, well, I definitely want a mom and dad at home, and I would like to be a little independent, and being able to go into that home and being able to give me a little bit of leeway on, oh yeah, you can do this, and getting involved with the community and school was something that she was passionate and I was also. So she was always there no matter what. If I had a softball game, I remember she was my first fan out there, and it was nice. It was just, I would say it was like just how it was meant to be. I've really never had anybody by my side that wasn't, I knew they were there, but they weren't supportive. And to me, it was surprising how strangers wanted the best for me. And at first, I wasn't willing to give in. I was like, no, I can do it myself, because that's kind of how I lived most of my life. I can do it myself. I'll get there even if I have to crawl. But once I started letting people in, it was nice. It was like, oh, they're there for me no matter what. And I knew if I ever needed something, I could always reach out to my case manager and said, this is going on. And it didn't have to be something such as material-wise, or it was more of emotional at times. That's what I needed. And she stood there no matter what.
This is my buddy Sigmund Freud, the father of psychiatry. Sigmund lives in my office, and at least my home office, and gives me inspiration about psychiatry. Sometimes he even talks to me. He will tell me what he thinks I ought to be doing. And I often have a dialogue with Sigmund, and I tell him, Sigmund, this is not 1900 anymore. This is the 21st century. We do things a little bit differently in the 21st century. We don't make people sit down on couches and lie up looking at the ceiling and talking about whatever comes to their mind. We're very practical. We have people come into our office, they sit with us. Children come into the office and play with me. And we do a job talking about what their problems are and how we're going to solve them. We don't become a distant person like you used to do with people not really talking to you but talking to the ceiling. We talk to people and we become very connected with them. And they become people who we're not treating, in a sense, as we're working with and taking care of. Okay, Sigmund, it's time for you to go and see somebody lying on a couch and talking. And I will stay here talking about what we do at Sandmar. I like to look at the camera. It's my friend. I talk to you all the time. Let's see this guy here.
My name is Jerica Washington, and I am the Center Director at the Jackie Barr Center for Wellbeing. And what the center does is it provides outpatient individual and family therapy for kids and adults, and families as well. So we have a team of 10 licensed social workers and counselors that provide this service. And some of the things that people may experience when they come in, some of the reasons why they come to therapy are depression, anxiety, maybe sleep issues, eating issues, something called post-traumatic stress disorder, or family changes such as divorce or family illness, or one of the big ones is school issues. So relationships do matter. If you don't have that trust and that rapport built with that client, then how are you going to put in the work and help that client through whatever they're facing? So that's what we start to do. And it may look like playing at first. It may look like talking about their favorite things to do. But that really helps somebody understand that we're there just for them and not just for their problem. And there's always things that people may encounter. And one of the things that we can do at SAMR is help somebody just walk through that right along with them. And it may be as short as a month. It may be as long as 6 months to a year. But that's a person that is not connected to someone's family, is not biased against any of situations that may be happening, but really can help them through a situation that can get them on and get them right back to the life that they were living before. So I think it's important to remember that it could always be you or a family member that may be experiencing something that just they may need a little bit of help. The history of SAMR is children, and that's our expertise, and we know kids and we know how to work with them. But if we just look at the kids, we oftentimes may forget about who else is in the family, whether it be a grandparent or a caregiver that may be involved. And a lot of times what we see in therapy is that we're talking to the children, but we're also talking to the parents and talking to the caregivers about what's going on. And they may end up saying, hey, I also need a little bit of help. So with that, we're able to get them into therapy as well, and able to move in not just serving children, but serving the whole family, and then also serving just single adults in the environment and in the community that are kind of looking for help as well. One of the integral parts of our team that helped start the clinic and continues is psychiatry with Dr. Ira Laurie. And with psychiatry, you're really looking at the person and looking at their symptoms, looking at the history, and kind of trying to help that person through the use of medication. But with Dr. Laurie, I mean, he's been with us from the beginning and really has showed us what unconditional care is, showed us how we can not look at the family or a client in a negative light, but just look at their strengths and look at how we can use those strengths to help them through, whether it be them missing appointments or whether it be, constantly giving them a call to remind them of appointments. It's important to remember that they're struggling and they're hurting too, and just that one extra phone call can make all the difference.
We started this clinic in 2016. We felt that it was time to close down the residential units, get the kids back into the community, back into their homes. And we started a mental health clinic so that we could take those kids and work with them with their families and in their homes. We think that we have a very special clinic. And what makes our clinic special and different is that we take very particular care with the people who come to us to be seen by them as their helpers and as somebody who is there to support them and their families in dealing with some of the mental health issues that they have. As we developed our programs at the Jackie Barr Center, what became very clear is that we had people come to us who were having major troubles in their lives. Some of them were due to a mental illness and emotional problems that they had, but often they were also mired in other kinds of problems that we're certainly dealing with today in the country, like racism and poverty, and not having a decent support system. And we set up our programs so that we saw ourselves not as treating mental illness, but as supporting people and being there for them and doing what it needed to happen in order for them to feel comfortable enough and be happy enough in their lives to be able to overcome some of the mental health issues that they are dealing with. I'm not sure that we're so important. You see, I got rid of Sigmund here because I don't believe that the psychiatrist is the most important person in the clinic. What's important in the clinic are the therapists and our associated administrative staff, all of whom work with the families who we see. And when we take a look at what the role of the psychiatrist is, that I have kind of an ancillary role. I'm kind of off to the side. People come to me because they have a problem that therapy and family support is still not working for, and that there's some kind of psychopathology that's going on that needs to be addressed. At our clinic, we focused on people's strengths. If we focus on people's strengths, that's the way to get them better. The old medical model is that you that you focus only on the illness, and you focus on the illness till it gets better. In mental health, that doesn't make any sense. It's kind of like taking someone with a broken leg and telling them to hop on it until it gets better. We don't believe in that. We believe in a different model in which the care is around people, focusing on their strengths, and the psychiatry is only looking in that little point of saying, well, there's some psychopathology, some mental illness that's going on that we have to kind of decrease in order to be able to let people work on their strengths and get better. Another major difference that we have at the Jackie Barr Center is that when we work with children and families and adults, we start with a focus on strength, but then we go one step further, and we practice what is known in the world of family and children's services as unconditional care. Unconditional care was started on the basis that we needed to treat the people we work with like we treat our own children. Whatever you need to do for them, you do. Someone once told me in a training there were 10 principles of unconditional care. Never give up, never give up, never give up, never give up. Number 10 is also never give up. It's a way of looking at care in a way that if someone is not doing well in your care, it's probably your fault because you haven't found a way to make them better or to help them get better. And we believe in that theory within the Jackie Barr Center. That is the only way to approach families and children and adults, is to accept the fact that they have problems. It's our job to make them better. And if we can't make them better, we need to look for a different way of approaching them and to find a way to make it so that it works for them. Clients come to us often having been fired, telling us that they've been fired from the clinic they were at because they didn't make enough appointments. Now, one of the things that we begin to understand when we're dealing with people, especially people who are living in poverty, people who are living in tough circumstances, is that a mental health clinic visit is not the most important thing in their life. There are other things that are going on. If we begin to understand those things, that there are usually good reasons for people to not show up for their appointments, then it's easier not to get mad at them. Psychiatry and mental health in general has a tendency to blame you when you don't show up because of something called resistance. You don't want to get treatment, really. You don't want to change, so you don't come. And unconditional care is a very special concept. It basically says that whatever goes on between you and me and whatever going on in your family and in your world, I'm there for you as long as you're willing to come to see me. And if it means me losing a little bit of money because you don't show up, we'll have to put up with that. What happens is, when you decide that you're going to produce and give unconditional care, that what happens is that you begin to focus not on the things that are wrong with people, but on the things that are right with people, the things that are working with them. You begin to understand, as we talked about before, that if you focus on people's strengths and try to use those strengths to overcome their weaknesses, they're going to do a lot better than if all you do is focus on their weaknesses. There's not a mental health clinic, a child mental health clinic especially, that makes money. We give a lot of care for which we do not get reimbursed. Someone needs an emergency prescription written, we don't get paid for that. Someone needs us to sit with their kids while they're seeing us, we don't get paid for that. But we do have to provide the staff in order to be able to do that. We have therapists who will transport people. We don't get paid for that. We do not get paid for missed visits, but we're there. It's important for people to understand that if we're going to give unconditional care and we're going to support the people who provide the unconditional care, if we're going to support the people that we serve, that we're going to need more money than what the reimbursement from the state or from some insurance company is going to give us. Because they will reimburse a medical piece, whether it's a therapy or whether it's a doctor visit, but they don't think all the rest of the stuff that makes our care unconditional, they don't think that it's worth paying for.
Prior to Bester Community of Hope, I was the Director of Residential Services for our group homes. So we had the 3 locations there in Boonesboro on campus, as well as our location in Cumberland. And at that time, we were having lots of conversations about, can we do better? What can we do? And if there's a better way, shouldn't we be doing that? And so through research and support from lots of our partners, we identified a prevention strategic plan. And it surely makes a whole lot of sense that it's far cheaper, and it is certainly better for kids and families. If we can prevent the things that were bringing these girls into our group home, that sounds a lot better than trying to treat the trauma, because we know taking care of our parents, we all need to be taken care of, and they're going to do fantastic jobs raising their kids, because we firmly believe that parents are doing the best they can with what they have. We provide family support services, so that is home visiting with families. We also provide services in the school, after-school programming, free after-school programming for kids at Bester Elementary as well as E. Russell Hicks Middle School, as well as other additional school supports. In the last couple years, have really done some very strategic work within the community and doing some community empowerment. So educating residents on how to advocate for themselves, providing capacity building within our community and our other community partners. As a society, we're all much more comfortable in paying for treatment and paying for a response too. But it surely makes a whole lot of sense if we can shift those funds to prevention. Our dollars are going to go farther, and we believe they're going to make a far greater impact. I have found that working with SanMar, it has allowed me to take my personal values, because they align, and again, we're just willing to do what's hard. We're willing to do the hard stuff. Our community has seen a a lot of hardship, and those things look a lot like the opioid crisis. Lots of individuals and families struggling with substance abuse. We've seen our families experience a lot of community violence and crime within our area through lots of partnerships, including us. We have been able to join forces to address a lot of these issues, and a lot of that looks like building the capacity within the residents that live there. It's not always these outside agencies swooping in to save people, but it's providing people with what they need to make the difference in their own community, and that's powerful.
My name's Laura. I'm a South End resident. We've been in the area about 2 years now, and being involved with Bester Community of Hope has really made a difference in being a family in the area. We got to meet more people that we wouldn't have otherwise known, and we've had a lot of opportunities to find the helpers and to be the helpers through Bester Community of Hope, and I really like that part. I think the kids have been a part of South End 21 throughout the entire time my partner's been going to HCC. And that has definitely, the time that they're there has given her a chance to finish her degree, which is awesome. Social connections are important to keep a community together, to keep a community strong, to keep people proud of their community too, because when you can get with somebody else who's happy to be in the area they are, around the people that they are, the area gets better. People put their heart into it. I'm a neighborhood ambassador. I participate in the walking school bus, where we get different neighborhoods together. The kids meet up in the morning once a week, and we do activities, we snack them up, and we kind of get them to know the other kids in their direct area. It also gets a chance for the parents to connect, or at least see each other, where otherwise when you're walking kids to school in that 30-minute window, you don't necessarily run into the people that are from your neighborhood. For our family, Bester Community of Hope means connecting us with other families and connecting the community together to push a common goal of making the community as a whole a better place, and a better place to be. And to give kids a better opportunity to connect. The more connections they make, the stronger and more confident they can grow. And I think that's very important. I love being involved with Bester Community of Hope and my family. It makes us all feel like we're a part of something a lot bigger. All right.
Hi, my name is Samaya, and I'm in the South End 21 program.
Hi, my name is Anne-Marie, and I'm in the South End 21 program.
They're friendly. I like that Miss Melissa is always there when we need her. When we first moved here, it was kind of hard because I didn't know anybody. And well, for that year, I didn't go to South End 21. My friends did, and they said it was a lot of fun, so that's why I wanted to go. And then when we started actually getting to know people, we started having friends and had the same routine from going to South End 21 each day. We started to have walking tacos at home because of South End 21. We had a day that we did have walking tacos, and I was one of the kitchen helpers, and so was she.
It was a family fun Friday, right?
And, yeah, it was a family fun Friday, and it was so fun. I think that was actually one of my favorites. Yeah, it is. It's a good thing because you can catch up with a lot of work during the time, and you get to learn a lot more things because there's a science thing. You get to do math, social studies, science, and you get to read a little bit. It's like everything you do for school, which is kind of mean because we already have to go to school. But it was fun because we got to do all of that.
My name is Leanne, and I am a program assistant with South End 21. A lot of these kids have been through some things that my family and children have been through, so it was easy to kind of adapt to the different attitudes that were coming. Some of the them pushing you away because they didn't want to get too close, and then finally just fun because they knew I was there for them. Bester Community of Hope really helped me out in ways that I didn't think they were there for us. It really is word of mouth, and people who work with them, I've seen good things. Me, myself, not only going in with just a part-time job, when I had issues with my own housing, the resources that the social workers put together for me, within 2 weeks, I had a full-time job and housing because of the connections that Bester Community of Hope has. I love that they see no color and that they are for the person and will do whatever it takes to help find whatever it is that you need. Anything you tell them, they're like, well, we got you taken care of, or let me get back to you. And they always get back to you. When families feel that their needs are met, I believe it's less stress for the children. They see that mom and dad isn't struggling to put food on the table or to pay the bills, and they are happier and want to be, I guess, more apart with their peers, because when they don't have the things that they need, they don't want to be around other kids so that the kids don't see that they don't have. I believe that the more, even the volunteers with the children and the families, that it's non-judgmental. It doesn't matter your background. If you're all really on the same page of wanting to do better because you want your children to do better, Bester Community of Hope is the right place to be. I love my job. I'm blessed to have found, or for them to have found me. I'm better because of Bester Community of Hope.
Thanks to all of you for tuning in as we celebrate and showcase all of the fantastic programs supported by SanMar. If you would like to join in and contribute to SanMar's fantastic programs and support services, you can head over to sanmarhope.org. Again, we thank you so much for tuning in. Have a fantastic evening.
Thanks for joining us tonight with Celebrate SanMar. This has been a wonderful event to help highlight all of the important programs through our Bester Community of Hope initiative, the Jackie Barr Center for Wellbeing, and Treatment Foster Care. 3 amazing programs that make important contributions to this community. We need your support now more than ever. We need the funds and resources to make a difference in the lives of kids, to strengthen families. At the heart of all the work we do is the work to make families stronger. There's no more important relationship in each of our lives than the relationships we have with our family. Make a difference in the lives of families. Contribute to SanMar. Thank you so much.